guys? Welcome to On the Block. Joe Ferrari here, Igor Henriquez, and welcoming Luca Brosano. What's going on, man? Good to have you on.
What's going on, guys? Pleasure to be on.
All right, so we're going to do an NBA Finals preview quickly. We're going to talk about some storylines going into the finals, and then we'll jump into a bit of the Raptors focus in the draft. So Giannis looks like he's not going to go in Game 1. Me and Igor were kind of just talking about that, coming off a pretty serious injury. I guess, Luca, we'll start with you. Do the Bucks have any chance if Giannis is out for this series?
It'd be difficult. Like, I could see them maybe winning a maximum of, I'll be generous here, 2 games without Giannis. But no, ultimately I don't see the Bucks winning a 7-game series without Giannis. But that being said, I think he'll be ready to go, for Game 2. I think they're not playing him Game 1 just to be a little bit more cautious. There were reports saying that he was actually going to be ready for potential Game 7 in the Hawks series. So I think that's just the Bucks not forcing anything, gradually going to bring him back. And I'd be shocked if he does this Game 2. So I would be, if I was a betting man, I would say he does go for Game 2, and that'll definitely bolster the Bucks' chances of winning the series.
Okay, you got more faith than I do. I don't know. Maybe he is going to come back, but we've seen with guys that come back too early. Me and Igor have talked about this all series, even with Anthony Davis when he got hurt. I kind of said that if he does come back, it's going to be rough, and it was. And I think that might be the case with Giannis. But, Igor, what are you thinking about Giannis? You have some faith?
Well, I mean, I guess the injury happened, it's going on, 4 or 5 days now? Around there. I don't know. I mean, at the end of it, Game 2 would probably be going in about a week and change. Since usually those extensions keep you out at least 2 to 3, I would say, and that's being very generous. It looked pretty bad when it happened. I mean, he'll try to be out there, but I think it's one of those situations where, like you said, he might pull an AD and try to get out there, and then he probably he just tweaks it a little bit, and then he can't go again. I mean, I know he definitely wants to play in the finals. They've been trying. I mean, even since the Toronto series, they've been one of the favorites to get to the finals almost every year. So I'm sure he'll give it a go at some point. I don't know if it'll be Game 2. If they win Game 1, I can see him not pushing it into Game 2. If they get off to a bad start in Phoenix, then I can see him pushing it a little bit more. But so I think I'll take that as a game-by-game basis. With a hobbled Giannis and the way that the Suns have been playing in terms of their shooting, I think they're the favorites in the series. That's my opinion on that. They've been playing some great team basketball, shooting the 3 really well. So I still think even with Giannis at 100%, they might have been the favorites. But if he's hobbled, I'm going to say the same kind of deal. I think it may be 2 games at most, and Phoenix in 6. So again, I don't like their chances because again, I think Phoenix is just a team of looking like a team of destiny. Yeah, they've had some luck with the injury situation, but with guys getting hobbled here and there. But Chris Paul looks like he's on a mission. Game 6, he really went off. So, I think it's Chris Paul and the Suns series to lose.
Luca, are these the 2 luckiest teams? Because we know that Phoenix got lucky. So round 1 they missed AD, round 2 they missed Jamal Murray, round 3 they missed Kawhi, and then the Bucks obviously with the Nets. Are both teams just lucky to be here, or are these the 2 best teams in the finals?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I mean, injuries are a part of the game. I wouldn't say lucky. I would say more, just I guess catching breaks at the right time. Because my opinion was the Nets were the odds-on favorites to go on and win it all. And I do believe if they were fully healthy, they would have went on to do that. I mean, we saw how close they were on advancing. They were basically a smaller sneaker size away from advancing and beating the Bucks in that series. And then, like you said, on the other end, I mean, the Suns have literally avoided, arguably, the team's best player in every single one of those rounds. So, sometimes you need to catch breaks in order to make it to a final and win the championship. We saw with our hometown Toronto Raptors, a few seasons ago where, Kevin Durant first going out and then Klay Thompson going out, because I really thought if Klay was healthy, we probably would have seen a Game 7, and then who knows what would have happened there. So, it's a part of the game, but both of these teams catching lucky breaks, but at the same time, they are super talented. I think these are 2 teams that are not just a flash in the pan. They are going to be here for many seasons to come. Especially a young Suns team. Obviously Chris Paul is 36, but Devin Booker, Aiden, that's going to be a dynamic duo for many years to come. And then the Bucks, Giannis is in his prime. You got Middleton, Drew Holiday was a big addition for them. So I think these are still going to be teams that are going to be around in terms of the title contention, and they're not just going to be one of those one-hit wonders that you talked about later on.
Well, speaking of one-hit wonders, like Jay Crowder's in back-to-back finals. He was on Miami last year. It seemed like a one-hit wonder, and every team that gets to the finals, you never think of it going to be a one-hit wonder, but it does happen. Now, you talked about the injuries there. These are the top two defenses in the league. Do you see that these games, either you guys, whoever wants to go up, a little bit more high scoring? Do you think it's going to be kind of gritty like we saw with a few games with the Bucks and the Nets where teams are just kind of trying to score points?
Yeah, you know what? I could see it. I could see it being actually like a fast-paced style of play. Both teams kind of going up and down, scoring their points. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as that Bucks Nets series, but I think it will be a fun one. I think the offense is going to be on full display, and especially if Giannis can't go early on. Middleton's going to get the green light. He's going to be asked to take over. Of course, Drew Holiday as well. They both had a big game against the Hawks in game 6, and then the Suns, we know what they can do. When Chris Paul is there, he's that glue. Get that offense generated, and the Suns got so many different guys that can beat you. I mean, their bench is lethal. They got great starting unit, and it's funny because I remember even watching the Suns against the Raptors during the season. I looked at the team, I'm just like, damn, this team has like everything you need to be, a very good team. And little did I know they'd be in the NBA Finals a few short months later. So I think it will be generally high scoring, but I mean, whoever can play the best defense will, I think, win the series.
Igor?
I mean, like this, the Bucks have been playing some different styles. I think for them to compete with Phoenix in the series, I think they're going to have to do a little bit of both. Like, there's been some games where they've shot themselves out of games, relying too much on the three and not going inside. I know the last time I was on with you, we were like, well, who's going to pick up the slack for Giannis? We saw that Brook Lopez, was very efficient in that closing game, so he tends to pick up the slack. I think Phoenix, again, is a very good three-point shooting team, and the Bucks are going to have to match a lot of that and again work their way inside. But again, from a matchup standpoint, I think, in terms of guarding guys and so forth, it's an interesting matchups that'll happen between who's going to be covering Booker and who's going to Holiday, Chris Paul. There's some really interesting matchups there. I think it'll be a tight series, but I like the way that Phoenix has been shooting the ball, and sometimes they've been really shooting it lights out. So I think there's going to be some games where I think one team or the other will completely blow the other one out. Just because, again, the two teams that get really hot, especially the Suns from three. So I'm expecting not anything massive in terms of high scoring, but I am thinking that there's going to be at least a couple games where one team just blows the other one out of the water.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, the Bucks have been the one team out of the two that's kind of like struggled every series, right? Like Phoenix, other than the Lakers series, they've kind of gone through every series easy. I know the Clippers put up a bit of a fight, but the Bucks really, I think, even got luckier. Obviously, with the Nets series, after 2 games, looked like they were going to get swept. Ran into some injuries for the Nets, and then even last series, really, they didn't really. I feel like they got lucky against Atlanta because Trae fell out as well. So looking at this matchup here, I think that the Bucks have the size to really contend with anybody. Like you said, Brook Lopez going against Ayton. I don't think there's going to be too many easy alley-oops there at the rim. Who are you guys looking at in terms of X factors? Because Luka mentioned it, like it's really a big three against a big three. But now that Giannis is out, Luka, who are you expecting on the Bucks to kind of make a statement in the series?
I mean, yeah, you look at Brook Lopez, he was, he was big in that previous series against the Hawks, and he kind of, took a lot of people by surprise. I think, he can be a difference maker, his ability to, stretch out the floor, hit that shot. And I also look at a guy like Drew Holiday. I think he was a very big get for this Bucks team because, they were missing that, that third all-star, if you will, who can get his teammates involved, and also, his ability to score the basketball on the bench. It has been huge for this Bucks team, and there was rumors that they were going to go out and get Chris Paul. It's funny,
yep.
The Bucks were rumored to get Chris Paul, and now they're going to be going up against him in the final for a chance to win a championship. And they obviously, upgrade over Eric Bledsoe, you get Drew Holiday, and he has just been, that guy that I think has been really good for the Bucks and is a big reason why they're here. So I would say give you a couple names there, but those are two guys I expect to kind of take it to the next level, especially with Giannis being out.
It's funny you say Bledsoe out because me and Igor joked around all series. It was addition by subtraction with Bledsoe. Like, honestly, you could throw me or you out there for the Bucks, and I feel like we'd be better. We saw against the Raptors that he pretty much almost pissed away the series for them, just not missing shots, not coming close. Another guy I was going to throw in, and then Igor, I'll go to you. Bobby Portis. He's looked really good for Milwaukee in a few games. He's gone from some DNPs to coming in and with those crazy eyes, kind of coming in and just setting the game on fire. Who are you looking for, Igor?
Well, on the Bucks side, I think, I think the same kind of deal. I think Lopez has to play at that continuous level. Holiday can't be doing what he did in that Nets series, shooting 4 for 27, stuff like that. Off the bench again, they're keeping. Like I've never been a bit. I like Connaughton. Connaughton can get really hot from 3 at times. He can shoot in games. DiVincenzo, I don't know. Again, I know he's been injured. I don't know what his status is going in, but. He's another guy that I particularly like that can then spread out the offense a little bit. But, the funny thing is that, the real winner in all this is Torrey Craig because he's getting a ring either way because he was on the Bucks for a good part of the season and now he's on the Suns, so he's getting one either way. So he's a real winner in all this. What was that?
Valanciunas was supposed to get a ring for the Raptors. They didn't give him one.
Well, that was kind of a low end move on the Raptors part of it. I think guys that were on the team that helped them win games, you should probably give them a ring. But I don't know if the Raptors cheaped out on that one. But I'm hearing that Craig is going to get a ring. It's been widely reported that either way he's getting a ring. But again, like I said, the Bucks without Giannis, not saying that again. Middleton has to have consistent games. If Middleton has one of those, goes off for 35 one game, goes off for 10 or 12 the next, they're done for. If he doesn't have a very consistent series, unless Holiday really goes off, like I don't see them having any hope if Giannis isn't there. So I think it ends up being a consistent star effort needed from Middleton. That's huge in my opinion.
I'm going to do 2 more questions. So, Luka, is this Phoenix's series to lose just in terms of the luck they've had with, avoiding their best players and here again, missing out, they're not going to get the 2-time MVP, at least for game 1?
Yeah, absolutely. They're I believe they're the favorite. They've, been in the driver's seat, as you mentioned, in every single series. Nobody's really, going to give the Bucks a chance if Giannis misses more than 1 game here. So, the Suns are going to be expected to come out and, do their thing, take care of business, and win this series. But the Bucks did impress me, I do have to say, because, after we learned that Giannis was going to be out for the rest of that Eastern Conference Finals, I thought, a part of me thought that, the Hawks were going to take them to the 7th game, and I started to believe, man, are the Hawks actually going to get it through? But then credit to the Bucks of, pulling together and key guys stepping up and getting in this position. So I think, even though Giannis is going to be a close series, but to answer your question, it is the Sun series to lose just because of, whenever you get to avoid, a 2-time MVP, that's going to be a huge, bonus for your team. So the Suns are playing with all the confidence in the world. They know how to beat up on teams they're supposed to, and I think they're going to find a way to do that here too.
Igor, your thoughts?
Yeah, you have to say that the Suns are the team in the driver's seat. They've been, like I said, I think they, some of the games, even in that Lakers series you mentioned, they had some extremely really strong shooting efforts. But you look at the situation, even with Giannis at 100%, I still think that the Suns would be favored, simply because one, they have the home court advantage, and 2, I think that they've just been the better and more consistent team throughout the playoffs. And I know you were on that right from the beginning, so kudos to you in getting that right. I thought, that, they're going to have some problems, a young team, not much playoff experience besides Chris Paul, but they definitely proved me wrong. And, they play some really solid basketball, and they get different efforts from different guys. They didn't even have I'm spacing on his name from last game. It wasn't Cameron Payne. Well, it was the power forward. Cam Johnson, yes. Sorry, I was spacing on it. He didn't even play last game. They still got some consistent efforts from guys like Bridges. Jake Crowder had a really good game. I think they just have too much depth overall. And Paul's motivated. Paul knows this is probably his one and only chance that he might get. Again, he's a little bit older. So the odds that he gets it back there in the next couple of years are probably slim. So he's motivated. He dropped a 40 piece in the last game. I think it's theirs to lose. I really do.
Okay, so I think all three of us really are in on this, on the Phoenix. And Igor, you brought it up. I kind of not predicted really them to get to the finals. I like them as a dark horse. And I remember I was saying the reason I like them were because of Crowder and Bridges. If you're going against guys like LeBron, Paul George, and Kawhi, those are guys that can actually guard those guys, at least in theory. But even Chris Paul has had some injuries as well with his shoulder, hasn't been 100%. So all three of us agree that this is the Suns series to lose. Now, if the Bucks are going to win this series, Luka, what do they need to do? If you're the coach there, what are you telling? If you're Coach Bud, probably you might be getting fired if you lose this anyways. But what are you saying to this team to save your job?
Oh, that's a really good question. And yeah, I can't believe he's actually got in here. Like I thought he was ready to get fired, and then they pull off that series win against the Nets. It's crazy. Yeah, you know what? Just believe. Like don't get intimidated, especially since you don't have Giannis there. And I know the Bucks are one of those teams that they live and die by the three. They're gonna have to hit their shots, and they're gonna have to spread the floor, and they're gonna have to do that in the series, especially without Giannis. And if you're a guy like Middleton, this is your opportunity to show the world that you can be that big time player. Like I would not classify him at all as a superstar, but is this your coming out party? Can you have a series of a lifetime? With most of the offensive responsibility placed on your shoulders, and can you have a big series? Can Drew Holiday have that big series? Can those other role players come in and hit their shots? Because the Bucks are going to have to, I think, live and die with those shots, and they're going to have to step things up defensively and contain Paul and Aiden and all those pick and rolls, and Devin Booker doing what he does. So you got this far. You're able to do what you did with Giannis. You belong. You deserve to be here, and I think the Bucks do have what it takes to get the job done. And if Giannis was there, I could see the series going 7, and I probably would take the Bucks. But if Giannis isn't healthy, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to win the series. But at the same time, they got a puncher's chance. They need everybody to chip in and have a series of a lifetime.
And when Chris Middleton signed that deal, I want to say it was around $220 million. I think fans and even people in the NBA were kind of saying that's a lot of money for a guy that's never been an All-Star at that. But if the Bucks win this series, you have to think that he's probably going to be the Finals MVP, seeing as Giannis isn't going to play Game 1. Like Drew Holiday definitely has a chance. I'm a big fan of his, but Chris Middleton is their big-time shot maker. He had a great series against the Nets, and I think, yeah, like you said, if they are going to win, this is going to be Chris Middleton's series. Igor, if you're the Bucks, what's your way of thinking?
I mean, you gotta play some lockdown defense. You gotta make sure that you keep Booker and Paul contained. And again, if DeAndre Ayton's their best player in the series, you have an opportunity. But if you I thought Booker, especially against the Lakers, was a man possessed, especially when AD went out. You can't let Booker get into very hot shooting motions. You saw that the Clippers bugged him a little bit with Patrick Beverley later on in the series. That helped a little bit. But yeah, you just got to contain. I think Paul, I'm not expecting Chris Paul to go off for 40 point plus games very often. I don't think that's his forte. I think Paul's more of a guy that, yes, he can get his shots, but he's more a facilitator than anything. I think you got to contain Booker, and if you can contain Booker and do a decent job on Ayton, you might have an opportunity. But if Booker gets hot in these games, I think it's over. But again, you got to hit your shots. You gotta play your game. I think they get in trouble when they rely too much on the 3 ball. And again, they're not. I think they're all below average what they were doing in the regular season compared to what they're doing in the playoffs. So yeah, to me, it's about lockdown defense, containing Booker, and making other guys beat you. Whether that be Ayton inside or making Jay Crowder hit 7 threes a game or whatever it ends up being. So I think that's their best shot. If Booker is anywhere close to what he's been the last 3 series, they have no shot. That's my personal opinion. He can really do a lot of damage with his shooting, the way he can space himself off the floor, creating a shot. He's been very, very good.
Like you said, if you're relying on Jay Crowder to hit 7 threes, I like your chances.
Sure.
But I think that if I'm the Bucks coach, I'm Drew Holiday's on Booker, and I think that he's one of the best perimeter guards in the game. Like Lucas said, they brought him in for a reason, to take the ball handling away from Giannis a little bit. That's helped, and also to guard the other team's best player. That's 6'6" and under. And with Booker, I think that he's going to do a great job. And if the Bucks are going to win this series, it's going to be with Drew Holiday on Booker, and I think Brook Lopez and him being 7'1" really going to do a job on DeAndre Ayton, because Ayton's a little bit undersized at that forward position. And if you can get Brook Lopez playing 30 minutes a game, just putting a body on him, I think it's going to be rough. Last question for the finals. Luke, I'll go to you again. Which team is more likely to get back to the finals next season, and why?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Which team is more likely to get back to the finals next year, the Bucks or the Suns?
Ooh, that's a really good one. Which is more likely? I mean, yeah, I honestly don't see either team. But the thing is, in the East side team, the Nets are going to be fully healthy. They're obviously going to be, the odds-on favorites. I think Philly's going to make probably a move. You're going to have other teams in there, and then in the West, so you would have to assume the Lakers are going to be back. Make a big-time move themselves. What happens with the Clippers? I mean, it'd be kind of a long shot if Kawhi does leave. He does say Clippers are going to be up there. I probably would say the Suns. I will say the Suns, just because they are, the two quote-unquote, best players. Obviously, Chris Paul is the most valuable player on that team, but their duo is very, very young. And Chris Paul, I don't think he's going to retire after the season, so he'll be back. He'll have all that, experience of getting to a finals. And if they do end up winning it, he'll be hungry to get back there. And I just really like how the Suns are built, man. They're really well coached. They got all the pieces. Like I mentioned, their bench is really well put together. And this is just a good young team with the right leader, right veteran leader, Chris Paul. And, we talk about the Lakers and the Clippers, but I guess the argument you make against them is, LeBron James, he's getting older. Like, how much longer can his teams be on top? And if they don't go out and get a big-time, all-star to pair alongside him and Davis, I think the Lakers, it's going to be tough for them to get back to the NBA Finals. And then, the Clippers, we could see them unravel if Kawhi does, decide to maybe go somewhere else. Even if he does come back, we see that, injuries have unfortunately been, hitting him hard lately, and some of the other, storylines that have gone on. So I feel like the Suns are getting back. I think the Bucks were the luckier team, going back to your initial point, because, the Nets, if they're fully healthy next year, motivated, KD, James Harden, after seeing PJ Tucker in the finals, he's gonna want to go out there and get a piece of it. He's gonna be extra motivated, and I just think the East is getting a lot better, and the Suns do have a bright future, whether or not they win the title. So I'll go with the Suns.
Fair enough, Igor.
I'm gonna go the contrary. I'm gonna say it's more likely that the Bucks get back to the finals, simply because I think that. As Luca mentioned, that there's a lot more hurdles, I think, in the West than there are in the East. I think I think that Utah eventually might get their stuff together. They'll be a problem. I think the LA teams are going to come out hungry next year. And I don't know what's going to happen with Kawhi's free agency, but I'm sure that both teams will make moves. And then you still have the Nuggets with again Jokic and a healthy Murray. There's a lot of teams that you have to go through. Going through the Bucks end of it, yes, absolutely. The Nets healthy are an absolute problem. But if you look at the rest, I think Philly obviously has a lot of problems. They have no idea what they're going to do with Ben Simmons. So I don't know until that situation gets resolved. I don't see them being a huge problem in the playoffs. You look at the other teams in the East. I think Boston has a lot of problems they need to solve. Our own Toronto Raptors, who were a threat, Don't know what it's going to be like next year. Who's going to be back? Who's not? So the Bucks really have to, and maybe Miami. I guess Miami had an off year. You might put them in the conversation, but again, based on what you saw this year, you probably would be like, and again, they got swept by the Bucks, right? Even though they beat them up last year. So I would say the Bucks have an easier road to get back because they would really have to worry about the Nets and probably would be favored against anybody else. While Phoenix would have to go through a lot of stages once again. But if everyone was healthy, I think it's a different story a lot. So I'm going to say the Bucks have a better chance because Phoenix would have to go through a maze of teams in the West to get back.
I would just kind of write out the teams in the West, and I think that the West is the rougher route. 2 LA teams, Utah, Denver. You guys didn't mention Luka and Dallas, right? Like, who knows what Dallas can do next year? They're probably going to get someone as well, right? And then I know that Dame's future isn't certain, but Portland is another playoff team. Ja Morant and Memphis. Every team's going to keep getting better. I think that Phoenix is the better team right now, even with Giannis. But I do think that the Bucks have the easier route just due to the East, because you brought it up. Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, Boston, question marks. Atlanta, are they going to come back next year? They should, right? New York, I don't think New York can get too much better. I think Julius Randle had like as good of a season as he could. And then, Toronto, Indiana, teams like that, right? So I'm going to say Milwaukee just because it's an easier route. But either team really, I think is kind of a coin flip to get back to the finals again. I guess that'll wrap up. I guess if you guys, Luka, make your pick and then in how many games, and then we'll get into the Raptors quickly.
Yeah, I'm also, I think I would consider myself a certified Bucks hater. That's why I gave my response. Get the Bucks in the finals, I'm not going to lie. I don't like it at all. I don't know what it is. I've just never been a fan of this team. But, I guess that kind of segues me into my pick. I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns. You know, this improbable, magical run is going to end on winning the championship. And one of my favorite players to watch, Chris Paul, at 36 years old, will finally get to win his ring. So I'll go Suns in 6.
Suns in 6. Okay. Igor?
Yeah, that's my line of thinking as well. I think it's Suns in 6. I don't see it going to a game 7. I guess, the Phoenix probably wants it to go. Well, again, all those home teams always want to celebrate in their own building, but I think the Bucks have enough to win a couple of games without Giannis. So I'll go again. I'll also agree with Luka and say that the Suns will win it in 6.
Can I go against my pick, Igor, after I kind of predicted the Suns to get it?
You said the Suns were going to make the Western Conference Finals. So if you're going different on the actual finals, that's a different story, I guess.
Okay, if I'm allowed to, then I'll pull shoot. I'll go Bucks in 7 then, and I think it's only because I think that that'll suck obviously for Chris Paul, because if Chris Paul doesn't win this title, I don't think he's going to win one. Because if I would have got you guys here when we did a season preview and I said, Luka, Igor, the Suns are going to win the NBA championship, you would have threw some water at me or something, because that would have been crazy.
Yeah, no shot.
Right? Looking at what happened now, I think like if I was betting money, I'd probably take the Suns, but I like the Bucks just because I think that if Giannis comes back, and I'll take Luka's word, I think that maybe he will come back in game 2 or 3. They'll kind of hold the fort, steal one game in Phoenix, and then kind of go back to Milwaukee and close it out. I'll take them in 7, and reason being, I just think that their defense is going to be very smothering, and I think they have the size to go against the Suns, who are one of the smaller teams in the league. All right, so that'll do the finals then. Luka, I know you're a big Raptors guy, just like us. If you're Masai and you have the 4th pick, what are you doing with it? Are you going to keep the pick? Are you targeting a specific player, a position? Would you trade down? What are you doing?
It's going to be very, very interesting. I would be listening to some, potential offers, seeing what's out there, seeing, what teams can put together. Because a trade and all of this, I think, is a very interesting component. But ultimately, I think you do keep the pick. And if things do fall as is, you do go with, I think, Jalen Suggs at number 4. I know there's possibilities and mock drops where, guys can flip and, maybe you get super lucky and get an Evan Mobley at 4. But I don't think, trading up is a realistic approach. So I do believe the Raptors will keep that 4th pick, and they will draft the best available player at that pick. And I think, based on the mock draft that I did, I think think it will be Jalen Suggs at number 4, which you'll be happy with. I mean, you have your franchise point guard on his way out. Like, I don't think there's any chance Kyle Lowry's back, and you know, you can replace him with a promising young guard like a Suggs to then pair alongside with a Fred VanVleet. I think you got to be pretty happy about that. And I really like Suggs' game. You know, defensively he's really good. I think you know, he's a very good finisher. He does have to work a little bit on his outside shot. I think he shot at like 30% from 3-point range. But all in all, I think he does have the tools to be, you know, a big-time player. And we saw a little bit of that, you know, closing ability, too, that he had during that run. So that's something that I really was attracted to, that, you know, if Suggs can, you know, progress in this amazing developmental system the Raptors have and maybe become, you know, that go-to guy is a guard lead. I think that's a very sexy pick for the Raptors. But then if somehow Mobley does fall, I mean, you would have to go Mobley. I think we can, you know, agree on that in terms of just sheer fit. But yeah, it'll be very interesting what happens. But I think ultimately the Raptors do keep the pick, and if things fall as they think they're going to fall, they'll take Jalen Suggs.
I kind of agree. I do agree, and I was saying, like, I want to say going into the tournament, I think that Jalen Green was probably the guy that was going to be at 4th slated, but there's been a lot of talk about him, a lot of upside with his athleticism, and I think that he's passed Suggs in almost every mock draft, and I don't think that he's likely to fall to the Raptors at 4. The only thing I was thinking, I talked about this before, so Kyle, I think all three of us can pretty much agree on he's not coming back. So you have Fred, who I believe has 3 more years. You just took Malachi in the first round. Obviously, Gary Trent's probably going to be back. You have a lot of guards, and to be honest, 3 point guards. But I guess, like you said, you're just going to take the best player available and then roll the dice?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, we've seen in the past teams sometimes go with the need, and then they don't pan out as you know, they wanted them to. So I think you have to go with the best player available. And you know, out of those guys we just said, I think, you know, Fred, and you would hope, you know, Jalen Suggs are the sure bets. And then Malachi, you know, he did show some signs of him getting a lot better, but I still think he does have a long way to go, you know, before he can, you know, just be an everyday backup. And then, you know, Gary Trent Jr., that is an interesting part of this, because how much money is he going to command? You know, there's been reports saying that it could be upwards of $15 million, but I don't know if you guys saw the report. They're, you know, the Raptors are looking to bring him back. So I think the Raptors, you know, they will, you know, have a bunch of guards, but at the same time, you know, it is a guards league. They'll make it work. They'll figure it out. And, I mean, I think this makes the decision a lot easier given the recent news of, you know, Jalen Harris, unfortunately him being banned.
How can we forget that?
It's crazy. So, yeah, I think they'll make it work with, you know, those 4 guards being at the forefront.
Okay, we would be remiss if we didn't ask you, because Igor asked me last time. You saw the Golden State possible trade for Pascal. Would you make that trade if you're Masai, or do you hold on to Pascal?
Oh, man, yeah, that's a very, very interesting trade. Man, it's I've said what I said about Pascal before, and I will stick with that, you know, until the end. He's the perfect Robin. He's not the Batman. And I just think it comes down to where the Raptors realistically view themselves, because if they're willing to play the long-term game, like, why wouldn't you make that deal?
Exactly.
Like, you know, you need a center. You have Wiseman. He's still got an upside. Played 1 season. Yeah, he got injured, but he's still very, very, you know, raw. And then you're going to have the 2 picks, and you can turn that 4th pick, like I just said, into Jalen Suggs, and then that 7th pick, you could potentially get, you know, maybe a Scotty Barnes falls, and all of a sudden you got a young 5 that can be very damn good in a few short seasons. So it's all going to come down to the Raptors' trust and commitment to Siakam. Do they trust him enough where they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, you were a solid player for us, and then things went downhill since, you know, the bubble and COVID and all that stuff? Or are they going to prematurely roll the dice here and make a big-time move that's going to be a very unpopular one, similar to the DeMar DeRozan one,
yes,
and go long-term game of having, you know, a very good situation if it does pan out? The only problem with doing that is you need a lot of good things to happen. So, you know, James Wiseman, you're going to be banking on him developing and being, you know, essentially, you know, the franchise center for your team. Jalen Suggs, you need him to obviously progress and do well. That seventh pick, who's that going to be? What is he going to turn out to be? We know, what an Anunoby and Fred's going to give you, but there's a lot more risk there, whereas Pascal, we've seen what he can do. Yes, he's not the go-to guy, but we see how good he is as that sidekick. So if the Raptors are in win-now mode, where they are in a weird situation, all you got to do is kind of, maybe you get creative and you do try to trade for a star to pair alongside of Pascal. So it's very interesting. I would not want to be the Raptors management this offseason because there are a lot of tough decisions to make, but I can honestly see it go in each different direction, and there's pros and cons to both sides. So
I agree. I'll just make a few points, then Igor, you probably want to tap in here too. So I was going to say, you brought up the DeMar trade. We know that Masai is very cutthroat. He's done that before. I know a lot of fans would be unhappy. I think that if you make this trade, you lose immediately, but you win in the long term because you shed that salary. You might be taking back Wiggins, I think, just to kind of match some salary because Pascal still has some time left on his deal. But I think that, like you said, if you're going to get the 7th pick, you already have the 4th pick. You're bringing in Wiseman, who I think at a worst case, I've said this, he reminds me of a young Tyson Chandler, just running up and down the floor, even like a Clint Capella. I think he'd be something like that in a worst case scenario. And then, like you said, you build for the future. You have a lot of young guys. Maybe Fred doesn't fit that next championship window, but you have something to go with. Igor, I'll let you finish off.
Yeah, no, again, I made my points clear on the Pascal situation. I think, like I said, if the Raptors make the trade, I think they, like you stated, in long term, they probably win out if everything goes their way. Wiggins, for Team Canada, actually had a really good game. I know they lost to the Czech Republic this weekend, which was a bit of a downer because everyone thought they were going to make the Olympics. But Wiggins to me isn't what he was supposed to be, but he's still a pretty damn good player in a sense. I don't think he's an all-star level player, but he'd still get you, 18 and 7 or whatever it ends up being. So overall, like I said, if it's Wiggins, the 7th, and Wiseman for Pascal, I like Pascal. I think he's a very good player, but I think, like Lucas said, I think he's a solid second option. I don't know if he'll grow into that number one. Now, saying that, this year and the bubble wasn't the best way of taking a look at that, in the sense of, the way that they had to, they play in Tampa and all that other stuff. So I think next year, and I guess he was injured for a lot of that time as well because he had off-season surgery. So I guess next year when he's fully healthy is probably where, I'm assuming they're going to return to Toronto and most of the stuff will go back to normal. That'll get you to see what the real Pascal is, right? So, like I said, he's been having some issues with Nick Nurse, got suspended. It wouldn't be a bad trade, but like I said, if they don't do it, I wouldn't be like, oh man, why didn't they make that trade? I think it's one of those win-win situations for both franchises. I think Golden State has a small window because they see that their stars are aging. Curry's already getting into his 30s and so forth. And the Raptors see an opportunity to perhaps still do something with this core, but maybe shoot for the stars with a younger core. And again, if they to me, it's what they think of who's going to be at number 4, if they really like that individual, and if they really fall in love with anybody at 7. If they're not in love with anybody at 7, I don't think they make the trade. If they see someone that has, in their opinion, Pascal-esque potential, they may just do that because it does solve their center problem with Wiseman. So it'll be an interesting draft, man. I think it's going to be real interesting. And if the Raptors, even for that 4th pick, and Luka mentioned that, like, if for some reason the Raptors aren't sold on Suggs, and they get offered a legitimately solid or strong player for that 4th pick, depending on who it is, they may even move off that pick. Now, that wouldn't stun me either, depending on who the player would be. Obviously, it would have to be a high-level player to get it done, but if the Raptors aren't in love with anybody around that selection, you never know. They have a lot of windows, and Masai he's very crafty, and he looks like he's going to stay, which is, I think, huge for the Raptors. But yeah, this has probably been the most interesting draft for the Raptors, I'll say, since
Chris Bosh.
Oh, the Araujo thing was a disaster. I think everyone was a little wondering on that one as well. But it's probably been the biggest. The Chris Bosh was at 4 when Vince was here. That was huge, especially considering that was the LeBron draft. But yeah, probably since Chris Bosh, you're right. Maybe Bargnani because he was number one afterwards, but and that didn't work out too well because again they picked they picked Bargnani over Aldridge more because of Bosh already being at power forward. So I go with Luka as well, saying you choose the best player available and you settle it from there. You don't pick for need. Because every time the Raptors pick for need, it ends in disaster. It ends up with some Brazilian bum that ends up playing like 5 games, and then we lose out on Iguodala.
In defense, they've never had Masai in those disasters either. Okay, that'll wrap up this. Luka, I have to ask you, because I know you've been down at Woodbridge Avenue. You can't see it, but I have my Italy jersey on. Talk to me about tomorrow's game. Do you like our chances?
I was waiting for you to ask me something about tomorrow's game. I do. I think Italian team, man, they look to be the best team in the tournament. They took down the powerhouse and, one of my favorites to win it all in Belgium. After a little bit of a shaky game they had, before that against Austria, I think they're really, coming to their own. I really like what I've been seeing. I think this is, a team of destiny, not qualifying for the World Cup. And now seeing this, many years later, it brings great joy to a proud Italian's heart. And you know what? I do like your chances against Spain, and I honestly think we're in for an epic showdown. Wembley, England, Italy, 60,000 fans, and we're gonna have a Euro Cup final for the ages. So I do think Italy pull through tomorrow. I think it's gonna be a close game, though. Like I would not be surprised. I'm gonna predict some extra time. I think it will go to extra time, but Italy, in classic fashion, they will pull through and they'll get the job done.
Igor, you're a big soccer guy. What do you think?
So, going into the game, I think I would have definitely. I didn't rate the Spanish team. I thought on paper the Spanish team that they picked without any of the Real Madrid guys, or to me it was a lot of. Again, guys that, I guess people know. Everyone knows Morata, and, they still got Jordi Alba, Busquets. It was a lot of unknown factors unless you really watched the La Liga. Guys like Moreno, Saraiva, and a lot of these guys. To me, I would have picked probably Italy very easily in most situations because I think the Spanish have been having problems in a lot of facets of their game. A lot of possession, but they do very little with it. The finishing has been rough, except for that Croatia game and that Slovakia game. They're probably like again, summer was quite good, but again, they got a little bit lucky with the red card situation. The Spinazzola injury is going to be a big one. I know you're a big Spinazzola guy. I think he was dominating on that side of the field. I know they have the Chelsea guy going in there. I believe it's is it Eder? No. Who's that? Emerson, sorry. Eder was the forward. The Chelsea guy, Emerson. Again, that'll be an interesting situation because Spinazzola was doing such good work, and he would be leading a lot of the attacks there. I'm still thinking. I think the Italians will win the game, just because again I think they do have the best momentum. I'm gonna say it'll be a 2-1 Italy win tomorrow, maybe an extra time.
You can't
come on. No extra time.
You can't come on the show with 2 Italians and go against them. So I'm happy you picked Italy.
Well, like I said, I thought the Spanish were going to flop, to be honest. I think the Spanish got very lucky, to be honest with you, because I think they, much like the England team, if I'm being honest, and England had Germany, so I give them credit there. The Spanish have had a lot of teams that I thought, had they faced a fully powerhouse French, the French would have beat them. The French never had it this tournament for whatever reason, infighting, people's moms going after each other. It was insane.
The French were the burning schoolhouse of the fireworks this year.
Well, the Rabiot's mom situation. It looks like there was infighting throughout the whole situation. I thought the Spanish would have been done there. I don't think they faced a team of the caliber of the Italians at all during the tournament. So I think they'll be in for a little bit of a wake-up call. So again, I think that the Italians have been the best team out of the two, and I'm going to take a close Italian win in extra time.
I hope you're right, man.
You gotta start Kies. I don't want to hear no Berardi, man. That guy misses tons of chances, man.
Chiesa's goal reminded me of Gota's goal in the World Cup when he volleyed it off, when he took it off the chest and put it in. That was beautiful. So I was going to say Spinazzola's out, and also Florenzi, right? Like both fullbacks out.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's huge, right? PSG guy and obviously Spinazzola, Roma. Spinazzola has probably been the best fullback this tournament, but Italy's depth, especially, like I've always said, their midfield, I think this is the best midfield they've had since 06 when they won. Like, they have 6 guys they can really run out there. Even Pessina, who's been playing for them at times, everybody they've thrown in, even on the back end. Like, Toloi has jumped in, Emerson you talked about, they have a Cherby, they have so many guys, Bastoni, like their defending's been incredible. I don't know, like you said, like Spain really dominates possession. They don't score much, right? Because they've always lacked that striker, even from the David Villa days. But I think Italy's going to, I can't go against them. I think they're going to win 1-0. I think they're going to put up a wall, and they're going to get maybe on a counter. I think that they're going to score a goal. I'm hoping it's Chiesa because I really like his game too. I'm predicting a 1-0 game. Luca, if they go to the finals, I think I have to go down to Woodbridge Avenue, get all decked out, and we're going to have to throw some kind of party.
Yeah, I was just about to say, man, you're more than welcome, even tomorrow if they pull through, and Igor, you can come too, man. It's a party.
I don't know. You can't wear the Portuguese jersey at Woodbridge.
I can't wear the Portuguese jersey at Woodbridge.
Don't wear your Portuguese jersey. You're welcome if you wear an Missouri jersey.
I will say it's kind of, there has been the situation in the news that for the Wembley games, should they make we're assuming they're going to make the final. I'm not sold on England beating Denmark because Denmark's got that Cinderella team of destiny thing.
I think Denmark.
If it's England, Italy, I think the Brits have banned anybody from showing up that isn't in the UK already, which to me is a bunch of garbage. Considering the English fans have been all over the place. They were in Rome just against Ukraine just in the last round, but I mean that to me is garbage. I understand the COVID situation, but to me I think that's a big problem in terms of soccer. So because again, it's obviously going to be 100%. Well, I guess maybe some Italians already live in England, I guess, but like it's going to be hugely partisan to the English, which usually it wouldn't be, considering you get at least a section of the Italian fans. So again, I'm pulling for Denmark to be honest. The English fans are just so, I don't know, they're all so social media. You just can't pull for them. So I'm hoping for Denmark. I'm actually hoping for Italy-Denmark, to be honest.
I think Denmark is going to go to the final against Italy, and I think that's going to be a hell of a game. Denmark's been, ever since Eriksen went down, they've been on an incredible mission.
It's a Cinderella run. They beat England at Wembley 1-0 in the last game in October. There's something about that team, the team of destiny type thing. And again, like I said, if you're not English, you're definitely pulling for Denmark because again, just the English aren't likable, especially when they're seeming like they're front running. I can't cheer for them.
Italy, Luca, do you have England or Denmark going on?
Yeah, I'm going to go with England. I love what Denmark has done. I'm going to be rooting for them. I think they have been great, and they're that one team that, I looked at it and I'm like, if Italy doesn't go on to win this whole thing, I'm pulling for them to do the improbable and beat the Cinderella team. And if they can somehow knock off England into the final, I would be thrilled at a potential, Italy-Denmark final. But I just think England does get through, and again, them having that that home field advantage, I think that's going to propel them. And it's going to be crazy, man. If we get an England-Italy final, you're going to have all those English fans. Italy's going to really be going in uncharted territory, but it's just going to make it even sweeter if the Italians pull through and beat England in front of their people. So.
Dinner at Soto, and then we're going to head to Woodbridge Avenue right after. Let's do it. All right. It was a lot of fun having you on. Hopefully we get together again. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely chat soon.
No, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate the show, and I got to have you on my stuff once the Raptors season starts again. So thanks again for having me.
All right, brother.
Take care, man. Have a good one.